All right, Fern, it's that time of the year when affiliates start to assess lots of things, but in particular, the programming that they're going to run at the box.
Yeah, I think, the whole discussion about New Year's resolutions in general is like kind of a weird rabbit hole. But I do think, particularly as gyms mature, they start to look at the calendar a little bit more with regard to what they want to achieve. I know we didn't really look at it a ton the first 5 or 6 years because it was just not a huge focal point. It's like we did program, but it was more of a month-to-month thing. But now we look at it more in terms of what do we want to achieve? Like, do we have events? Do we have there's a lot more things that get wrapped into the programming now than used to be, other than just like, are we gonna do a strength bias or like whatever that crap we used to do.
It's so funny to think about the evolution of programming over the years. In 2007, when I opened, I would literally show up at the box without knowing what the workout was going to be that day.
I do that now, and I write the programming.
Well, yeah, but there's a difference between showing up and the programming is set versus I was in charge. I was the one that was going to coach, and I'd be like, hey, what do you guys want to do?
Oh, you're talking about that. Yeah. And to be fair, like Cassidy writes the bulk of it, but I'm aware of the programming, but I still forget. People ask me all the time, what's the workout tomorrow? And almost 100% of the time, I'm like, I forgot. I don't know. Like, it's just, I thought about that 2 months ago when we designed it, and then I haven't looked at it since then.
What's the worst workout you've ever programmed for CrossFit Rife?
Ooh.
And I don't mean I know
when you say worst, you mean like the dumbest?
Yeah, I guess I'm saying dumbest because, for example, you and I were talking before we recorded, you just did a hero workout. Those are bad in a different way. But I'm saying just straight up dumb. Like if someone brought you this workout, you would rip it up in front of them.
Oh man. I mean, I'm sure there's dozens in there, and not one comes to mind. I mean, there's a couple that have scarred me mentally and emotionally for life, but I don't know, honestly. There are some ones now that I look back at that are kind of like classic CrossFit workouts that I would never program today.
Like what?
Like Nicole.
Yeah, you know what? That's a very good one to bring up because it is a classic workout, but it's a well-known to give people rhabdo.
Yeah, well, I think that one is victim to what we didn't know was going to happen with regard to people's fitness.
Yeah, that's a great point. That's a great point.
It's when that workout came out, whenever it was well over 10 years ago. But
it's probably 2005, 2006.
Yeah, but nobody was thinking 200 would be the score. We're now that that's a real number for a lot of people, is 200 pull-ups in 20 minutes. At which point, yeah, you might be staring down rhabdo or some, mild. I know I did it a couple years ago and got severe rhabdo. I couldn't straighten my arms for weeks. And I couldn't do a pull-up for 2 months. Physically lost the strength to do a pull-up.
Yeah, because you're talking not just super high volume, but because of the nature of the workout where it's hey, you cannot come off the bar. You'll hang on to it longer than you should just to get 2 extra reps.
Yeah, so years ago that there was limiting factor was very few people could rip out multiple sets of 50, but now that's a thing. We're going into that. It was all right, the first 2 sets will be 50-50 or 50-40, and then I'll play around with it from there. So, yeah, I think just analyzing programming as you do it, analyzing programming, how, what is the capacity of your athletes? All of those things need to be taken into account. And I've seen people do it a lot of different ways. They plan out the whole year. They do a lot of different things. But we do ours a little bit more with a broad macro approach, and then month to month from there. So,
well, let's not beat around the bush any longer, right? The reason we're talking about this is because we have a big announcement coming, and it's really been your baby. So I'll let you give the pitch about it. But we've decided, based on people reaching out to us and the influence that we've had over the last year at the box level, the coach level, to put out some programming really focused on developing coaches. But go ahead and talk a little bit about it.
Yeah, so our intention was never to, do this podcast and then we were gonna, make it big on writing programming.
I mean, in full disclosure, we had no intention about anything other than putting up a podcast.
That's actually a really good point.
We're just like, hey, let's get a podcast up. All right.
Let's talk to each other. So what we kind of looked at is, like, obviously what we're trying to do is coach development, but what is that what I kept asking myself is, like, how can we best help coaches develop, and, like, what is the fundamental thing that we all have to navigate on a daily basis? And it is programming. So I have to coach this workout with these movements and these rep schemes, and I have to learn how to scale, and I have to learn group management, and I have to learn all of that thing. And all of that is predicated on what we are doing today in the workout. So, we have done it many different ways. So I wrote the programming for like 7 years. I took a break. We used warm up and workout with Pat and Taz for a little over a year. I learned a ton of stuff there, just about myself and about some things, like how people do things differently. Now we have been writing it ourselves again for the past couple years, and put some processes in place for that. But I mean, so the general pitch for programming is we're going to save coaches time. You don't have to write your programming. You don't have to do the lesson planning. And full disclosure, I don't care about that. Like, I'm not interested in saving the box owner time when it comes to programming. Yes, that will happen because you now don't have to do that function. I'm actually advocating for something different, which is I actually think people need to spend more time. So this is where I fundamentally disagree with some business people, and it was just like, hey, you want to spend less time. And I actually disagree, because I don't think a lot of people's service is up to par. Like, what their coaches are doing in that 60-minute time frame to make it the best hours people day, I think they need to spend more time there. And that's what we're going to give people the tools to do with the programming that we're going to write. So the programming that we are writing and have written thus far is designed to develop coaches, and simultaneously people will get fit, because we've been writing programming for a long time. We know how it works. We know how to do it very simply, very effectively. But it's meant to challenge the coach's capacity, not in the sense of like we're going to put a bunch of crap in the hour. Where people are going to be challenged is like we are actually going to challenge them to actually coach. And if you listen to the episode with Paul Tremblay, that was one of the questions that I asked him, like what people could do better in that hour. And that was his answer. He's like, they should coach more. So we're going to give people those tools to coach more. So the lesson plans are written. They are realistic time frames, because I write all of the lesson plans from start to finish. And there's things in there that we want people to accomplish with regard to teaching complex movements, scaling, managing the group. I think it's going to be challenging for people who have not really honed in on that skill set, and challenging from a different aspect from a coach's standpoint, where I think people are going to be challenged to the extent they're not going to know what to do. Like I think there's a weird transition from a coach, as at first you don't know anything. So you're just facilitating the class. And then a lot of us at some point during our careers have transitioned to putting a lot of stuff in there because we thought that was coaching. And then what we do is you've realized that that's not coaching, and we have to revert back. But now I don't know what to do with all the time because my skill set hasn't developed. I'm not great at seeing and correcting I'm not real savvy on all of the scaling options that I need. So that is all of the things that we're going to put in there. So, I'm really looking forward to it. As I've been working on this for the past couple of months, like it's really kind of lit a fire under me for what I think should happen in classes and the way affiliates can do this better.
So when people are listening to this and they're thinking, okay, there's so many options to choose from, what will make this programming stand out?
Well, I think again, our focus is different. I think, and this is not, and I'm not, so I want to make it clear, like I'm not bashing anybody else, right? Like we're not trying to say that like our actual workouts are better than anybody else. Like in my opinion, I think workouts are workouts.
Well, I
I
think
don't.
that's something that needs to be discussed. I think when people think about what good programming is, all they do is think about either A, who's doing it, or B,
Yeah,
what the workouts are. And really, both of those things are insignificant.
they're very much insignificant, and I think if if we were to list 10 things that are important, like what the actual workout is you know the bottom three at the very most. What's far more important is like, am I teaching? Am I making people move better? Are they having a good time? And at the end of the day, we all know this because this is how it's unfolded over the past almost 20 years. Is even really poorly executed program that basically follows the guidelines of constantly varied functional movements executed at high intensity, that is primarily couplets and triplets, go heavy once a week, go long occasionally, will get you fit. I mean, like you could just put it in that very, very broad bucket. Like if you just do that, like you will get people extremely fit for an extremely long time. And I think a lot of people put far too much emphasis and importance on who's writing the programming and like what this workout is, and not nearly enough emphasis on how am I coaching this class? How am I coaching these athletes? How did I teach that movement? Like that's what's important. And that long term is actually what is going to make people successful. When people finally start to realize that like anybody can write workouts, then where do you sit in this ecosystem of coaching?
Yeah, I mean, when you think about the workouts that people are writing, first of all, let's take someone like, say, Matt Frazier decides, hey, I'm going to write programming. Great. You're the fittest man on this planet. That doesn't mean we should be doing A, what you tell us to do, because you're a specimen and a freak.
Mm-hmm.
And B, it doesn't matter who writes it. If once it kind of trickles down, like the game of, remember, like playing telephone, like
Yep.
it doesn't matter if it's not getting relayed at the whiteboard what the stimulus is, because Matt can do Isabel with 225. And if that was posted on the whiteboard, no one in the box is doing it.
Exactly. And they're not going to be able to do it as fast. And they're not going to be able to do the overall volume for the day or the week or the month or the year. They're not going to be able to do the movements. And Matt Frazier's probably not writing any scaled options because he doesn't need to scale anything ever, you know? So those are the things that we've written out, we've kind of designed, which is like what we want to do is give coaches the ability to start determining stimulus on their own, improve their ability to communicate that stimulus, improve their ability to teach, see, and correct movement, understand what the focus points of my job as a coach once we say 3, 2, 1, go are, and how to make people move better. Because there a lot of that stuff is lost, at the affiliate level, and it's not us like, you know, calling people out. It just is what it is, and we could all get better at that. And most people just don't know what they don't know. So a lot of things we're going to be putting there is like, what are the coaching focuses for that day? Not the athlete focuses. What is the coach's focus for that day? Here's a whole host of scaling options that you may or may not be aware of, and challenges. It is going to come with video content where we're going to give coach development with the lesson plans to go along with that. Videos of Jay or I or some of our other coaches walking through a sequence of teaching a progression or going over how to identify movements and different scaling options. So it's going to come with a lot more than just a workout and a lesson plan. I mean, I'm
Even things
excited.
like, you know, we talk about this all the time. You leave your level 1 or your level 2. How do you develop? How do you get ready for your level 3? Which, by the way, we've had about 7 people in our mentor group pass the level 3 test, which is no small feat. So congrats to all of them. 2019 was a very successful year on that front. But, we talk about how do you get better? Well, when the notes say something like, hey, I want you to watch, just people's weight in their heels today, or, I want you to focus on hip extension while we're doing this push jerk. Those are the things that don't happen. And if you're coaching at a box and there's no development, there's no feedback, you have to get your box to do this because this is how you're going to get better. And if you are a box owner, you need this because, look, we all know this. No one cares about your box as much as you do. You know, you have a great coach in Cassidy. I've had some of the best coaches around when I've had my 3 boxes, but it's your business. No one cares as much. They're not necessarily seeking out the information. Give them this, and they have no choice but to be getting better because it's going to be told to them exactly what to do during that hour.
Yeah. So our focus with the programming and the lesson plan is far more targeted at the coaches. So think of this is programming for coach development, right? Because that is what you have to do on a daily basis. Like you have to be able to execute this plan, have to, like things like this is the progression we want you to use. We want you to get it done in this time frame, and we want you to get 2 to 3 times as many reps as you have numbers of athletes in the class. Like those are the type of the things that we're going to be pushing people towards, because those are the objective marks of an effective coach. So that is really the target that we're going for. And then long term, our affiliates who are going to be using the program are going to get access at a reduced rate to our other platform that's going to be coach development based, which is going to be 4 to 5 days a week of video content, of 5 to 10 minutes, and so they're going to get access to that as well. And really what we want to do is, again, like this is programming. We're writing programming, but with the intent of doing coach development, which is really our goal is different.
And with that being said, let's not lose sight. They are going to be great, fun workouts.
Yeah, like we're writing it like at CrossFit Rife. We're going to be doing it. We are doing it, right? We are making some changes because there's some things that have to happen when you start writing programming for multiple gyms, and there has to be some standardization there and all that stuff. But like, it's going to be fun. Like I would not write workouts that wouldn't be fun or wouldn't be challenging or that are stupid. Like I'm not going to do that because I know how that's going to get executed in a class. And, like we're writing workouts that we're going to be doing in our gym. I'm not writing these in a vacuum. Just like, oh, this looks and sounds cool. Like if it's a shitty workout or it's not able to be done in a 60-minute window effectively where you can, and educate, inspire, and entertain, then it's not going in the programming.
Yeah. And, at the end of the day, you're going to be doing it. And for those of the listeners that have reached out to us, you get a response, whether it's on Instagram, email, Facebook. So you're going to be able to deal directly with the people doing the programming and have an influence over, hey, I like this, I didn't like that. We'll listen, we'll take your feedback because that's what we're trying to do. It's only the best hour of their day if it's fun for the coaches and it's actually working and improving you as a coach.
And I will say this, one of the things that I took into consideration when we decided to tackle this was, so I've seen a lot of different variations of affiliate programming. I wouldn't go out on a limb and say I've seen them all. I've seen most of them, like in their entirety. And one of the things that, and if you're listening to this as a coach, you're just gonna nod your head and you're gonna agree with me, because when I look at the lesson plans, and the vast majority of them are written, number one, I know that most coaches are not doing the full lesson plan. They're cutting out something to the tune of 30, 40 to 40% of what's written in that lesson plan because it's just not feasible in a 60-minute period.
Yeah. And I just want to say you're absolutely right, because we've followed programming. I don't want to put them on blast right now, and we've mentioned it in past episodes, but it's like, do they even do this? Because there's no way that if they did this, they would think that this can fit within an hour. It's impossible.
So that's always kind of been a pet peeve of mine. And when I read it, number one, it's just way too much. And I know that the coaching staff is not reading it. They're reading bullet points and stuff like that. But the real problem I have with it is that it is not realistic. And you and I was joking with Cassie about this, is like our hashtag is going to be like, we specialize in reality. What is realistically able to be done really well within a 60-minute window is not what most people are putting out. Most people are putting out enough stuff to fill a 60-minute window, not an appropriate amount of stuff to coach effectively in a 60-minute window. And for those people that think, well, it's not going to be fun if we do all of this, well, that's on you. Like that's if you can't make it fun, then that's a different discussion. But like our classes have a blast with the way we run our lesson plans. It's fun. It's a lot of work. We make them work by making them move better. And but that's always been my biggest beef, is that I read those and I'm not the best coach in the world, but I'm pretty effective. And there's no way I'm doing those lesson plans. I'm just cutting out a bunch of nonsense that's in there. So to which my point is, then why is it even in there? Like, why, if nobody can do it, then why is it there? And that makes no sense to me. So we're not going to, anybody who works with the affiliate program is not going to see anything in there in a 60-minute time frame that cannot be executed. Like, it's not going to go into the lesson plan. There's going to be different ideas and things to play around with. But for the most part, like if I or Jay or one of the other coaches we work with cannot facilitate that in a 60-minute window, it's not going in there. Because our job is to basically kind of like take everybody and push them to what we have seen and know to be the standard for really effective coaching. And putting more stuff in the hours is not an effective means of doing that.
So if people want to find out more about this now, we've got their interest, they're ready to go, it's time to make a change. 2020 is the year they're going to develop as a coach. They're going to take their box to the next level. What do they do now?
So first, just reach out to us. You can go to besthouroftheirday.com. You can reach out to us on Instagram. We will be launching partnerships with some of the bigger kind of box management programming softwares here. We're not going to put those out yet, but in large part, it will be available to, I don't know what a good number is, probably 60 to 70% of the CrossFit community across those two platforms. And in that respect, it will save some time. But again, like our pitch is not saving you time. Our pitch is like, we're going to make your coaches better. Right. So, I'm an affiliate owner. You've been an affiliate owner. The reality is, like, everybody's got time. Like, that's another pet peeve of mine. Is like, I don't have time. I'm like, you do have time. You're wasting time. We're all wasting time. We're just spending it in the wrong places. Like, spend it on coach development, spend it on your athlete's experience, spend it on those more productive things. Now, when we do, finalize those partnerships, we'll announce those. And what that's going to do for most of them is it'll basically just populate to your member management software, and you won't have to input it anywhere. So, but we'll also be sending out the lesson plans via PDF, because some of them, again, will have like embedded videos for those and like how to do things, coach challenges, and just some educational stuff in there to really kind of like get the gears turning for people. I'm excited. I've had a good time like putting it together and building it such that it is intended for the coach, which is not always the case in my mind from a lot of stuff that I've seen out there. It's tended to look fancy for the athlete, and that's not what's important.
Yeah, in full disclosure, Fern brought this up to me, and I was like, there's enough programming out there. And, everything that he just said is what he said to me. And I was like, you're right. There's no programming designed to develop coaches. And that's what we're going to do here. So if you're interested, check it out. It's going to roll out slowly. We're working on it. We're getting it into the different marketplaces, like Fern said, but you can reach out to us on our website. You can check us out on Instagram. You can email us, whatever it needs. We'll get back to you and make sure if you're interested that you're one of the first people to have access to it as soon as it's available on those platforms. So with that being said,
it will be available. Yeah, it'll be available January. So like we're ready to launch it for people. So
all right. Well, this episode's out on New Year's Day, and we want to wish well, first of all, I think we should thank the listeners. We've had a great inaugural year of Best Hour of Their Day. This is where the montage would happen.
Yeah.
Like if this were, like it'd be like us recording our first podcast and then us dropping it in boxes, us fighting with one another on the road, me in the bathroom, you yelling at me, that type of stuff.
I think we and you and I have pretty audacious goals, but I think we accomplished more than we thought we would this year.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that we're even still recording podcasts is more than my expectations were. Like I was like, let's start. Little did I know 150 episodes later. I mean, when you think
Since
about the day we
we're gonna
started,
hit,
that's like an
what was
episode
it,
every other
March?
day.
What was it, April?
I think April was our first
I think
episode.
April 14th. So we,
Yeah.
in 8 months, let's put it this way: we're gonna hit 200 episodes in under 12 months.
Yeah, we put out more episodes than Joe Rogan.
That's not true.
I think it might be.
It's not. He puts one out almost every day, but
All right, well, fuck Joe Rogan.
but I think it's been fun, and but like we started the mentor group. We're rolling into more coach development, and we have like quite a few things coming out in next
We
year.
went on the road.
We went on the road. We did our box tour.
Which, by the way,
we're almost, yeah, that one's launching here in like 2 weeks.
yeah, I mean, you and I have seen the first few episodes. They're great, and I'm super excited about that. So don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I think it's been a successful year, and I really look forward to being able to provide more value to more people in 2020. And it's fun, man. This is what we're both passionate about, and it's been very rewarding. And and we haven't gotten a lot for it, but that's fine. Like it's been like mostly just our time, but it's been super fun. So,
But that's what, I think that's how all good businesses begin. You're not starting expecting to make millions of dollars on day two. You're doing it because you love it for the right reasons, and it will grow. And, the feedback that we get from our listeners is, I think, what keeps us motivated and keeps us going. So
and
thanks to
also
all
to be
you guys.
fair, this was never really intended to be a business. It was
Yeah.
literally just a podcast that we thought might get some traction.
Yeah. So if you've enjoyed it, please reach out. We love just hearing from you guys, even if it's just we get so many comments every day that's like, this episode was great, or I see that you reshare the images from whatever you're listening it on, whatever platform. And every time that happens, it's like a little bit of a reminder of why we're doing it. Because, it's New Year's Eve, we're recording this. It's, 8 a.m. my time. We love it, but sometimes it's like, okay, why are we doing this? And then all it takes is one person to say, that episode helped me, and we're happy.
Yeah, it's been so from us to you guys, thank you guys. It's always very humbling when people just take the time to listen to us flap our gums, and it's been super rewarding for the people that have reached out to us, that we've seen at the level 1s or level 2s, that have passed their level 3, that are opening affiliates, that are getting better development with their coaches. Like that is why we do all of this. So from us to you guys, thank you very much. Happy New Year, and here's to 2020.
Thanks for listening to Best Hour of Their Day. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. First of all, it's free. How cool is that? There's a creation tool that allows you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer, so it becomes super simple. Some of these episodes with Fern or Todd or myself chatting with one another, we've done right within the app itself. Anchor will make it easy to distribute your podcast to all platforms, Spotify, Apple, and many more. And you can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make an awesome podcast in one place. All you have to do is download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started today.
Come on, who doesn't have Spotify at this point? And if you were unaware, Spotify now is offering podcasts. That's right. On Spotify, you can listen to all your favorite artists, but also podcasts in one place for free. Spotify has a huge catalog of podcasts on every topic, including the one you're listening to right now, Best Hour of Their Day. On Spotify, you can follow your favorite podcasts so you never miss an episode. Premium users can even download episodes to listen to offline wherever you are, something I always do before I hop on a plane. And you can even easily share what you're listening to with your friends on Instagram and other social media platforms. Here's the deal. If you haven't done so already, be sure to download the Spotify app, search for Best Hour of Their Day on Spotify, or browse some other podcasts if you want.
You can find them in your library tab. And also make sure to follow me so you never miss an episode of Best Hour of Their Day. Thanks again for listening to Best Hour of Their Day. Just a reminder, Fern and I have an amazing new show called Dropping In, premiering on our YouTube channel in early 2020. Be sure to head over to the Best Hour of Their Day YouTube channel now. Subscribe so you don't miss any of the episodes. You've probably heard us talking about it, summarizing some of our trip. You can see some highlights up on our Instagram as well at Best Hour of Their Day. But I promise you, you're not going to want to miss out. So subscribe now. Thanks for everything you do. Thanks for letting us be a part of your lives. Hope you have a great rest of your day. Tune in tomorrow for another episode of Best Hour of Their Day.